Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you all about the benefits of translucent setting powder. It's one of those products that can be kind of intimidating if you don't know how to use it, or if you think your skin is too mature, or if there's too many wrinkles, or you're just like, I don't need that. Well, stick around because I will show you exactly why translucent setting powder is an absolute must in your makeup bag. Okay guys, so let's just jump right into it. There are so many benefits to translucent setting powder, and I'm always so surprised to learn that so many women don't use it. So many of my friends don't use it in their daily makeup, or some of the women I know are a little too afraid of it. And I think it has a bad rep because if you have dry skin or if you have mature skin, the word powder can be pretty terrifying. But I'm gonna show you why you need translucent setting powder in your life and why it's like the best product in the world. So right now I'm not wearing any translucent powder. And if you're able to see some of these fine lines and wrinkles on my forehead, some of the pores and the shine on my face, what translucent setting powder is going to do is it's going to diffuse all of that. So it's going to soften the look of your fine lines and wrinkles. It's going to soften the look of your pores. So if you're someone who has, large oily pores, it's really just going to blur everything. So my weapon of choice is the Mercier setting powder. So this is just the translucent setting powder. Oh, that's so shiny. This one is the traditional guy. And then I also just bought the shade Honey, which is this one, and it is just slightly more yellow. It's also translucent though, so keep that in mind. But what it's gonna do, I'm gonna go with the Honey product because I'm really liking it. So it's just got that softer yellow undertone, and I really like that because I don't like when my skin looks too pink or too red. This just kind of diffuses that. But again, it's translucent, so it's not that much different than the traditional setting powder. But I'm gonna get my beauty blender. I'm gonna put a good amount on. And the first reason why I love translucent setting powder, and it's that simple, is that it's really just gonna blur the look of my fine lines and wrinkles. So I put quite a bit of product, and that's the thing, is like people are so intimidated. Again, when you hear the word powder, you think, oh man, this is just gonna make me look cakey, it's gonna make me look old, it's gonna make me look dusty, which isn't necessarily something we want when we're doing makeup. But I don't know if you can see already, it completely softened the look of the wrinkles and fine lines on my forehead. And then I'm just gonna bring it under my cheekbone. I'll just let that sit for a second. Again, a pretty hefty amount on the beauty blender. And then I'm gonna bring it all around this area of my face. And that's usually where like the biggest pores are for me, at least on my face. They're the most noticeable. But as soon as you put a light dusting of translucent setting powder, it's really just gonna soften and give this airbrushed look. And then I'll set the rest of my makeup. There we go. So I always use a brush as well, so I'm just gonna use a powder brush. I'm gonna use the other small side of this Veil brush from Hourglass, and I'm just gonna dust any excess product away. And I'm gonna go in even down my T-zone. So another benefit of translucent setting powder is that it takes away all the oil and the shine of your face. So before I felt kind of shiny, which is fine. It's got, a healthy look to it, but there are certain parts of your face that you don't want shiny. The T-zone, for example, or around the nose, because this is just gonna, well, one, if you're being photographed, it's gonna make the shine and the flash just give this kind of distorted look to your face, which is fine. But if you're not being photographed and it's just for everyday makeup, then it's just gonna give you that clean, simple look. You can still look glowy, especially if you have a bit of an oilier skin, but you want that kind of glow to come from the cheeks and not necessarily the forehead and the chin area. Okay, so my other point with translucent setting powder is that it's gonna lock your makeup in place. So yes, I just gave myself, you know, a solid dose. As you can see, my beauty blender was quite full of powder on that beauty blender, and what it's really gonna do is gonna set your makeup, meaning it's gonna make sure your makeup doesn't move, and it's gonna lock it in place for 16 hours. So if you're ever wondering why you leave the house looking pretty good, fresh-faced, feeling like, all right, my makeup's looking nice, and then lunchtime comes around and you're like, what the heck, you know, your foundation has slid or moved, or your concealer has slid and moved. That's exactly from not setting your makeup. And translucent setting powder is going to do that. It's gonna lock your makeup in place for 16 hours. So if you give it a go, you're really gonna notice a difference from setting your makeup versus if you don't. I mean, you can use a setting spray as well, and I always like to finish with a setting spray, because if you are concerned about it looking too powdery or too cakey, what you can do is you can use a setting spray like Urban Decay All Nighter, and it will actually dissolve some of the product on your face while locking that other stuff in place. So I'm actually gonna do my under eyes as well, and that's also an intimidating area. People don't want that crepey, wrinkly look. So my advice is to go gentle, meaning not using too much product, and then not bringing the setting powder right underneath my eyes where I have those fine lines and wrinkles, but just kind of below, and just setting that concealer in place. This will honestly make my makeup last pretty flawless for the day. And as you can see, it's got that kind of airbrush flawless finish. So you should not be intimidating by setting powders. Another reason I love setting powders, and this one is always a really intimidating tip, is for baking. And I know people have heard this term and they're like, what the heck are you talking about, baking or setting your makeup? And that's just the term of using like a really heavy dose of powder in the areas like underneath your cheekbone, underneath your under eye, to really brighten. So I'll show you how that works. So I'm just gonna use the traditional Laura Mercier setting powder. Fill my lid. And really saturate this beauty blender. And you're being quite liberal with the amount of product that you want to set. Again, I don't like to bake too close to my under eye because that's where we really have a lot of those fine lines and wrinkles. And then on this side. And then let's just do a little baking. So much for my culinary skills. Only baking I do is in the makeup chair. Is underneath the cheekbones. And that might help create that illusion of your cheekbones, or more of a definition between your cheekbone and this area underneath. And then another area I also like to bake is the T-zone. Right here I like to brighten up. And so the whole point of baking is it's allowing this powder to kind of sit on your skin, and then it kind of absorbs into your skin, and your skin works with like the heat and the oils to kind of absorb that translucent powder, and eventually we'll just dust away some excess, but it's really going to create that brighter under eye, the brighter T-zone, and then more of a definition in your sculpted sculpted like cheekbones. So I'll give this a couple minutes and then I will remove it. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. And depending on what kind of look you want with your baking, you can obviously leave this on for longer. If you want more of a dramatic look, leave it on for 10 minutes. You know, if you want less of a dramatic look, leave it on for 2. You can kind of play around with your translucent powder, but I'm just gonna dust the excess off. And it's okay if there's still quite a bit of product in the area, because I know for me, my skin is gonna eventually kind of eat that product, absorb it into the skin. As you can see, it's just created a little bit of a brighter under eye, and then also in the T-zone and jawline area. thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful and informative and helpful. And if you did, of course, please do not forget to give me a like down below and subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.